Hello everybody and welcome back to the MMO project, where once again I didn't get quite as far as I had hoped, but it's a whole lot better than it is currently, or rather it will be a whole lot better. Now you'll notice that I've added diagonal tiles in here for next episode. That is because I noticed that there is a need for that. So we will definitely do that, and there will still be some issues with our tiles here, but we are definitely doing fixing choosing assumptions, as well as our tile rotation. Now, the entirety, or almost the entirety, of everything that we are doing is going to be in the map script here today. However, we are going to do one quick change to tile.cs, and that is that we're going to add into line direction flat. And I also want to rename this from line direction because it's not really... That name doesn't really fit it anymore. Let's go ahead and rename this to something along the lines of terrain shape. Excellent. Okay, so that's all we need to do in the tile here, although we don't need system.collection, so we can get rid of that using, I suppose. And then we can close that, and we don't need any of the from UDP message, we don't need clear map. We are going to work heavily in generate map. We're not going to do anything in any of these except for get tile position, because we actually need to move up our flat tiles a little bit. So we can say something along the lines of if tile.tiletype is equivalent to tiletype.flat, then we are going to do adjust plus equals 0.8f. Okay, wonderful. And now we're going to work almost exclusively in our get tile function today. And this is maybe going to be a bit of a short episode, but I figured we could pad it out with maybe working on the materials on the prefabs a little bit. So we're just going to get rid of all of this. Just going to completely get rid of it. We're completely rethinking how we're doing this. Last episode was, we don't like to talk about last episode. Excellent. We're also going to get rid of this curly brace. We're going to move this entire section over like this, and we are just going to move that up. Wonderful. No issues found. We're not going to do anything with this if region.flooded else. This is going to remain... Or are we? We are going to do a couple of things, actually, now that I think about it, because we aren't getting all of our locations here. So we'll do right here, if direction equals terrain shape dot flat, then our tile should be equivalent to tile equals tileset dot base tile. This is below water level though, so this should actually be the water tile. Excellent. And then we'll just copy this, and we'll put in an else right here actually, and then we'll copy it. And then we'll just put that right there. Wonderful, and this should be base tile. Excellent. And then we don't need to do anything else in this section right here, so we can just get rid of that for now. We're going to keep our west, east, north, and south heights, but otherwise, that's going to be pretty much it. And now we're going to create ourselves some sub-regions here. So let's do a region here. This will be the straight shape, and then we'll end that region. Wonderful. And then we're going to have a region here for corridors. We'll end that region. Excellent. We're going to have a region here for inside corners. We'll end that region. We'll have a region for outside corners. We'll end that region as well. And we'll have a region for islands. And we'll end that region. And we will have to extend this, probably in the next episode, a little bit. But for now, that will give us what we need. So let's start with our straight tiles. So, if two directions are equal to our height, and one direction is greater than or equal to our height, and the other is less than our height, this is straight. And I want to I want to actually clarify this. This is not two directions. This is one direction. So one axis. If one axis is equal to our height, and one direction is greater than or equal to our height, and the other is less than our height, then this is a straight cliff. Well, maybe not a cliff, maybe a shore. It depends on whether it's been flooded or not. We'll get to that next episode, not this episode. Okay, so our if statement here is if west height is equivalent to east height, and west height is equivalent to map heights at position x, y, and our north height is not equal to our south height, then we need to do one more set of checks here. If north height is greater than map heights x, y, and west height, there we go, is equal to map heights of x, y, and once again, actually no, what am I doing? This is south height is less than. I was on the wrong line. South height is less than map heights xy. We do need a square bracket there. If this is the case, our direction equals terrain shape dot straight, and our tile rotation dot y is equal to 180f. Wonderful. However, if that's not true, then we're going to have an else statement, but we don't want to just have an else statement. We want to make sure that this if statement is also true. This needs to be south height is greater than or equal to map heights xy, and our north height is less than map heights. This would be xy. Already have our curly braces. Then our direction is still equal to terrain shape dot straight, but our tile rotation dot y at this point is equal to 0. Excellent. So that gets us our straight cliffs running east-west. Now we need our straight cliffs running north-south. So else if this would be north height is equivalent to south height, and north height is equivalent to map heights xy, and east height is not equal to west height. Then we are pretty much just going to copy this statement here and paste that in. We'll change this to west height is greater than map heights xy, and this would be east height is less than, and our tile rotation would be equal to 90f. Otherwise, if our east height is greater than or equal to, and actually this should be greater than or equal to, I missed that. This one should be as well. There we go. If our east height is greater than or equal to our map heights xy, and our north height is less than, this should not be north height, this should be our west height is less than map heights, then our tile rotation y equals 270f. Wonderful. Now that gets our straight cliffs most of the time. I did notice a few times where there should have been a straight cliff that there wasn't, that I need to troubleshoot. I just need to logic out why it happened the way it did, but we'll come back to that in just a moment. Well, maybe not just a moment, but in a little while. Let me just get corridors open here. Excellent. So for our corridors, if two directions, or actually if an axis is equal to our height, and the other axis is both below our height, then this is a corridor. Okay, so if north height equals south height, and north height equals map heights xy, and west height is less than map heights xy, and east height is also less than map heights xy. In this case, we know that we are a corridor going north-south. So we can do direction equals line direction, or rather terrain shape, dot corridor. And then that'll be tile rotation dot y is equivalent to, and in this case, it can actually be one of two things. We can have it be facing north to south or south to north. So we'll just have it select which one randomly. Random.next, between 0 and 100. If it's less than 50, then we're going to have it be 180. Otherwise, it'll be 0. Excellent. Then we'll do an else if, and then here it's going to be west height equals east height. And our, let's see here, at this point this should be west height equals map heights, xy. And our north height is equivalent to, or rather is less than, map heights, xy. And our south height is also less than our map heights of xy. In this situation, we're going to do pretty much the same exact thing. So I'm just going to copy this in, but instead of it being 180 and 0, this is going to be between 90 and 270f. And technically, these really probably should be floating point numbers. I don't think it really matters right now, but that's all we need to do to get corridors. Now, inside corners, oh, we missed one. We missed a region here. Region Peninsulas. Excellent, and we'll end that region. We'll do peninsulas next. Peninsulas are pretty simple and straightforward, although a little bit tedious. So we need to say if 3 directions are below our height and one is equal or greater, this is a peninsula. Okay, so it's a pretty simple series of if statements, and we're pretty much just going to copy and paste. So we're going to do if west height is less than map heights xy, and east height is less than map heights xy, and north height is less than map heights, this will be xy, and also, in this case, if I can find the end button, we're going to go with south height is greater than or equal to map heights xy. In this case, we're going to say direction equals terrain shape dot peninsula and tile rotation dot y equals 0f. Excellent. I'm going to go ahead and put an else statement in here. And we're going to copy this and paste it like that. We're going to change this here to be less than, and then I'm going to copy from here 2 more times. We don't need this last else statement. Excellent. And this would be 180f. This would, of course, be 270f. And then this one will be 90f. Wonderful. So, we're still going to have a potential issue with our peninsulas. We will address that probably in the next episode when we do our diagonals. But we are going to, at this point, make sure that this is working correctly. This one should then be north height is greater than or equal to. And then this one should be east height is greater than or equal to. And then this one should be west height is greater or equal to. Fantastic. Okay, so there's our peninsulas done. Nothing more needs to be done for peninsulas, and we are done with 3 already. Fantastic. Next up, we are going to be doing inside corners. Inside corners are a bit more complicated. If all tiles are the same height, this may be an inside corner. Otherwise, it's flat, which is the default. We'll have to check diagonals to find out. If one is lower, then this is an inside corner. Inside corners are still going to have a couple of issues, some of them relating with diagonals, most of them relating with differing heights, which itself is a manifestation of the diagonal issue. But we're just going to say if, not if, if west height is greater than or equal to east height, and west height is greater than or equal to north height, and west height is greater than or equal to south height, and west height is greater than or equal to map heights xy. In this case, we're going to need to sample the corners. So we'll do that as we did previously, and that's one too many ampersands right there. There we go. We'll have to sample this as we did previously, except I'm just going to clean it up a little bit. So int any height is going to be equivalent to map heights, and we're going to take mathf.min, and this is going to be x plus 1, and then we're going to do map size x minus 1. We're going to do mathf.min, and this is going to be y plus 1, and map size y minus 1. Excellent. And that gives us our any height, which is going to be either our height or the height of the actual tile there, if there's a tile there. Next, we're going to do int nw height for northwest equals map heights. I always keep thinking that heights is spelled wrong, but it isn't. This is going to be mathf.max, and we're going to go from 0 to x minus 1. And then it's going to be mathf.min. This is going to be y plus 1 and map size y minus 1. Excellent. Next, we're going to do our SE height. That's going to be map heights. And then we're going to here take our mathf.min. This is going to be x plus 1 and map size x minus 1. And then mathf.max, this is going to be 0, y minus 1. Excellent. And next we're going to take our int sw height, which is going to be map heights. It's going to be mathf.max. This will be 0, x minus 1. And of course, we're also going to be taking mathf.max of 0 and y minus 1. Okay, so that gets us all of our heights. Wonderful. So, in this case, all diagonals should be greater than or equal to map heights xy, except 1, if this is an inside corner. Wonderful. So we're going to take our if statement here, and we're going to say if any height is less than map heights x, y, and nw height is less than map heights x, y, and SE height is, actually these should be greater than or equal to map heights xy. I was changing it and I had no reason to. And our SW height is greater than or equal to map heights xy. In this case, and we'll change these two to greater than or equal to as well while I'm thinking about it. So when all of these currently are greater than or equal to this, then our direction equals line direction, or this will not be line direction anymore. This will now be terrain shape. This one. Dot. This will be corner inside. And tile rotation dot y will be equal to 0. Excellent. And now we'll create a series of else statements, and we're just going to copy this and paste this 3 times. 1, 2, 3. Put in spaces there, because apparently I didn't copy the space. Get rid of that last else. Excellent. This will be 270. This one will be 90. There we go. And this one will be 180. Excellent. And this first one here, that one is less than, and then we're just go down the line, completely diagonal here. The second one, then the third one, then the fourth one. Okay, that gets us most of our inside corners. We'll come back to that. Okay, so that's the most complicated one. For the outside corners, if two opposite directions are below our height, this is an outside corner. Now, note that by two opposite directions here, I mean two directions on differing axes. I'll change that. Directions on differing axes are below our height. This is an outside corner. Excellent. So, if west height is less than map heights x, y, and north height is less than map heights x, y, and there we go. East height, in this case, is greater than or equal to map heights x, y, and south height is greater than or equal to map heights x, y. In this case, direction equals line direction, although in this case is of course terrain shape dot corner outside, and our tile rotation dot y equals 0f. And then we'll go ahead and put in an else statement here, and we'll just copy this and paste this in 3 more times. Put in these spaces because I apparently forgot to do that again. This will be 90f, this one will be 180f, and this one will be 270f. Wonderful. Okay, so now of course we need to change our signs here. So let's see, this one should be less than, greater than, and I am realizing that I didn't change the signs, I changed the variable names. Okay. I guess we'll say east height here. That makes things more complicated. I should not have done it this way. North height, correct. This one should be west height and south height over here. Yeah, that's good. This one should be east height. This one should be south height. And then this should be west height and north height. So it'd be much easier if I'd just changed the signs. West height, this will be south height, and then east height and north height. Okay, there we go. So there's our outside corners done, assuming I didn't make a mistake there, which, you know, I may have. And then we've got our islands. Our islands are super simple. If all directions are below this tile, this is an island. So, if west height is less than map heights xy, and east height is less than map heights xy, and with the end button, there we go, north height is less than map heights xy, the space there, and finally, south height is also less than map heights xy, then this is an island. But we could maybe check diagonals here. Maybe. But for now, we're going to say direction equals, this will be terrain shape. No, not terrain render flags. Terrain shape dot island, and this should be capitalized. Terrain shape dot island. There we go. And we'll get a random rotation rounded to the nearest 90 degrees. And the way we'll do that is simply tile rotation dot y is equivalent to random dot next between 0 and 360 degrees. We're going to divide that by 90, and with that being an integer, we are then going to multiply that by 90. Wonderful. So that gets us about to where I got to in terms of programming previously. Like I said, I do want to make sure that, well, first off, that we don't have any compile errors. We don't. I do want to make sure that we get our materials done this episode, because it's been bothering me that our newer tiles don't have the same materials. So we should definitely do that. But let's just hop in here, and we'll notice that there are still a few issues, but that it is way better. So we'll go ahead and enter world here, and okay, yeah, that's not better. Why is it doing outside corners as the default? I messed something up. What did I do here? Outside corners. Maybe I did something wrong in the straight shape? Let me compare with my previous version. Pretty sure I got it all the same, but I didn't actually change that. I don't know why that's marked as changed. Okay. So if west height equals east height and west height equals map heights XY, and north height is not equal to south height, then we do this. That looks correct. I clearly messed something up. You know what I messed up? I know what I messed up. Direction equals line direction dot flat. Except this shouldn't be line direction. I need to get used to that. This needs to be terrain shape dot flat. I didn't do that. And technically, we don't need to assign this tile anymore. And we don't need to do this anymore either. Okay. Now this should work fine. Okay, so let me go ahead and fire up the server here again. Technically, I fired up the sandbox server last time. It really doesn't matter. We made no changes to the server. Okay, let's see what we've got here. We are connecting to server. Come on, encryption handshake. You can do it. Don't mind me, I'm just falling asleep here. There we go. That's not how you type. That's how you type. Okay, so this is a big flat area, but that can happen. So you can see here, we've got an inside corner that it missed, and that happens sometimes. I need to logic out exactly why this has happened, because I feel like this inside corner should be grabbed by this logic. Similarly, this straight tile here really should have been grabbed by this logic. This inside corner here is a little bit awkward, to be sure. But you can see that by and large, it does the right thing. There are a few areas like this where it clearly doesn't grab the correct tile, or areas like this where it really probably should get the inside corner. Actually, let's just take a look at that real quick. Inside corners here. So if all of them are greater than or equal to, in this case, equal, equal, greater, greater, that should have returned true. So if one of the diagonals is less than the map height, and in this case, the diagonal that's less than the map height, pretty consistently at least over here, is definitely the southwest tile. Okay. So if southwest height is less than map heights XY, and at the same time, northeast height is greater than or equal to, northwest height is greater than or equal to, southeast height is greater than or equal to. In this case, equal, greater, equal, less. This really should have returned an inside corner. Things like this are expected. because we don't have diagonals. This is a diagonal problem that I was telling you about, where it doesn't know what to do in this case, because this tile up here is needed to be a corner. It can't have it be an inside corner for this, because it needs to be an outside corner for this. So we either need a combination inside-outside corner here, or we need the ability to put in a straight diagonal line here as well as here. Either of those would work, in theory. Also, I like how it just happened to output these exactly the same. Like, okay, 4 times in a row? Whatever. Clearly that indicates that we need more variants, but overall, I'm reasonably happy with this. I don't know what's going on with this situation, because once again... Okay. Actually, the problem here... Let's check this from a different angle. The problem over here... Oops, that is not what I intended to do. Was, in fact... Oh, where is the camera located right now? Camera is located here. I've lost it. I know it was right along here somewhere. There was an issue. I've completely lost it. Okay. Well, that's kind of exciting. This should definitely be a straight line here, and this being an inside corner is kind of interesting considering these are at different levels. That shouldn't be happening. So there's clearly some bugs, right? And some cases that we haven't considered. Like, for example, the diagonals, or, for example, things like this, where it's an island up here, and then down below this needs to be an inside corner. These are cases that have not clearly been considered, and realistically, this should be a diagonal here, and then going into an inside corner like that. That's the way that that should work. And I think what we'll do is we'll tackle those diagonals in the next episode and maybe see about fixing this issue, see if we can figure out what exactly is causing this. This really should be an inside corner. But there's clearly some logic there that's not quite playing out correctly, so we'll tackle that in the next episode for sure. And things like this as well, where this should probably be a straight into a diagonal. We definitely need to get the diagonals in before we can really diagnose these, though. And to that end, let's just go ahead and spend the rest of this episode just putting together the materials for the tile set here. So I want to... Can we lock this? No, we can't. Okay. Well, we'll just hop into our prefabs here, and we will pop these up over here. Wonderful. These are the corner inside prefabs. We'll do corner outside prefabs. We'll do our corridor. We're just going to bring out all the prefabs right now. Island prefabs. Peninsula prefabs. And I think the straight ones should be already done, but we'll pull them out anyway. That was for the cliff, and then we'll do the same for the shores. We shouldn't need to do this for any of the others because we haven't added new ones anytime recently, and in fact I just want to do kind of like that. Excellent. Then for islands, and then peninsulas, and finally straight shores. Oh, these are in the same exact location. Okay, we'll just move those over. We'll move these over as well. The position really doesn't matter. And what's going on here? Ah, tile cliff straight. All had its position zeroed out. That's not amazingly relevant, but we'll just do something like this. In fact, we can just delete these. We know for a fact that they're good to go. And then these cliff corners over here can be moved over something like this. And these tiles are relatively good to go, although, yeah, they're good to go. So they can be deleted, and then these would be moved inward. Excellent. We'll now open up our materials here. And we're going to be using, I think, a light green for this, if I recall correctly. Yes, indeed. Light green. And we'll just place these all in over here. Just so that these don't stand out to be quite as different. There we go. We'll also put in the water. Wonderful. I mean, we don't currently see the water, but it's fine. There we go. We'll also put in the shoreline. There we go. A few more of these. Excellent. Then we'll also need to put in the stone area, which is fine. This is definitely the more laborious side over here. Okay, and I do want to... Apparently I forgot to put those in. Okay, there we go. Now it's fixed. Wonderful. And now we'll just put in the cliff material here, as well as here, and here. We'll do the same thing back here. There we go. Island doesn't need it, but the corridors do. Actually, that was gray light. That should be cliff. There we go. Cliff there, and cliff here. We'll have to go over to this side to get the peninsulas. Cliff, cliff, cliff. Wonderful. Okay, so that's all of the shorelines here done. And in theory, if I understand the way that the prefab system works now, we don't need to save this, and it should automatically just be saved. Let's check that by just bringing this guy out here and checking. It did not save it. Okay. So how do we save the prefabs now? Do we have to do it in the prefab editor? That's awkward. I think we have to do it in the prefab editor now. Oh, it would be so much more convenient to do it this way. Oh, that's irritating. Okay. This is going to be so much more tedious than I thought. Maybe I'll do this off camera. Because, oh my. Now we have to go back over here and navigate back in here. This is not an upgrade. Unity, please no. This is very tedious. I mean, it was tedious before. But, oof. Oof indeed. Can we multi-select these? You know what? And I deselected them. Let's go for tile cliff search here. And let's just do it this way. We're going to put in the green material and the cliff material on the 18 prefab assets. So that was cliff corner outside 2. So in theory, if we put this into the scene... Okay. That wasn't as bad as I was thinking. So now let's search for tile shore. And we'll grab all of these. This is green. So this is grass, shore, water, cliff. Grass, shore, water. And now tile shore, we need to select all of the non-island ones. So we deselect these 3, and that gives us cliff. Okay, let's fire this server up one last time for this episode. And let's get logged in here. And we'll take a look at our map with its current level of flaws. It's not fully complete yet, but it's definitely getting there. And we'll look at it with its new materials and see just how much better it looks. It should look a lot more consistent. I mean, it's still just going to be flat colors, right? But that's better than nothing. Come on, Encryption Handshake. You can do it. Just going to fall asleep here, apparently. Oh yeah, definitely asleep. Okay, we'll get logged in here. Hello. That's incorrect. That's wildly incorrect. Well, that's what I get for trying to batch edit these. Apparently some of them have the material slots switched around, and this is using light green for the base tile. Let's just switch the base tile here to use dark green. So, actually, let's go into the materials here, and we're going to use green dark. I just like that a little bit better. Now, some of these are definitely flipped around. Yep. So we will swap these. Cliff here, green dark here. Now, how many more are like that? Corner outside is not. Corridor is not. Island is not. Peninsula is not. Straight is. Okay, so we'll just have to flip these. Cliff and green dark. Okay, let's try that and see if that's any better. Fire up that server again. Wait the ludicrously long time for the encryption handshake. Again, according to what I'm reading, when it's compiled, that won't be so bad. It's only in the editor. That is a whole lot better. Excellent. That's starting to look halfway decent. We've still got a few issues, like here. It's a lot harder to see, honestly, with the material being this dark on the green dark. Let's actually bump this up to 64. Just so that we can see a little bit more clearly. I'll probably change that back at some point, but you can see here that the this is a wrong type of cliff. This should really be cliff straight. So that's the thing. I wonder if this has to do with the -1. Actually, that's at 0. This over here is also trying to curve over this way. But whatever. These interior corners still have an issue, and this really should be a straight. So there are definitely some problems, but this is a big improvement. There are situations like this where it should taper to the peninsula. And realistically, that's not a tile that we have currently. But there's also some corner issues, and there's a few issues here and there. But this is a big step in the right direction. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and put a cut in here, and next episode, we're going to work on continuing this map generation. You can leave your offerings to the engagement gods in the form of likes, comments, subscribes, and bell ringings, and I'll see you all next time when we continue being bogged down in the map generation.